What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I am back with another video. We're going to take an in-depth look at one of the weirdest trends in modern NBA history that deals with the MVP. And I don't know about you guys, whenever I was playing basketball, or if I was watching basketball, I was always really superstitious. I had to wear the right shirt, I had to put on my left sock first, and I had to do a certain routine to get my mind right. And in sports, I think fans as well as players are very conscious of things known as curses. Whether it be the 2K curse, the Madden cover curse, or even the Kardashian curse, a lot of players are aware of these weird things that simply happen. And today, I want to talk about one curse I've noticed, that being the MVP curse ever since 2016, when Steph Curry was the first ever unanimous MVP. Now before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so, and if you could like this video, I greatly appreciate it. So that being said, let's get into the video. So first up to this video, let's go to the origin of this curse, that being the 2016 season. And this year, Steph Curry had arguably the best MVP season of all time, as he averaged 30 points per game and made an NBA record 402 threes. And his Golden State team won an NBA record 73 games. Now where it goes south for Curry is when you get to the playoffs. As many forget, in Game 2 versus Houston, he went out with a nasty injury that caused him to miss the next 3 games. Now Steph, he would come back versus Portland, but you could see he really wasn't the same, and that injury was still lingering. In the NBA Finals, he was definitely banged up, but still was no excuse as Golden State blew a 3-1 lead to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that right there was the best and the worst of Steph Curry. Yes, he won the MVP, but also he blew a 3-1 lead in the Finals. And ever since that point, MVP has never really been the same. And as we come to see, winning the award is not the best thing for your playoff success. Now the first player who was a victim of his MVP curse was Russell Westbrook. As in the 2017 season, he went off, averaging 31 points per game, 10 boards and 10 assists, and broke the record for the most triple-doubles in a single year. And this year Westbrook was essentially by himself, and he led OKC to 47 wins, which is good enough for the 6th seed in the Western Conference. And stats-wise, that right there is one of the best MVPs of all time. It's undeniable, and it was a great carry job from Westbrook. And if you look to the playoffs in the first round, they were matched up versus the Houston Rockets, and Westbrook once again would carry his team, averaging 37 points per game, 11 boards, 10 assists, on 38, 26, and 80 splits with 6 turnovers. But even with Westbrook going nuts and having that great series, his teammates would not step up. His leading scorer in the series was Andre Robertson, a guy who couldn't put a beach ball in the ocean. You had Victor Oladipo before he was skinny. You had Taj Gibson, as well as Jeremy Grant, before he became a very good player. So top to bottom, this OKC roster let Westbrook down, and he had no help in this series. And actually in Game 5, Westbrook was responsible for 68 out of the 99 points for OKC. So 2017 for Westbrook, once again, was the best and the worst of Westbrook, as he had an all-time great year, but his teammates didn't help him when he needed it most. Now looking at 2018, we have one of Westbrook's former teammates, that being James Harden. And 2018 for Harden was probably the best year of his career as Houston had a 65-17 record, the best in the NBA, and he put up some eye-popping stats, averaging 38-5 on 44, 36, and 85 splits. And Houston at this point was undoubtedly one of the best teams in the league, with Chris Paul and Harden leading the way. And through the first 2 rounds, they beat Minnesota in 5 and Utah in 5, so heading into the Western Conference Finals, Houston was definitely legit, and they're going to compete heavily with that Golden State team. And actually in this series, they went up 3-2. But again, for the MVP, you have some bad teammate luck as Chris Paul went out with a hamstring injury in that Game 5. And in the preceding game, Game 6, Houston lost by 29, and in Game 7, they lost by 9 at home. In that Game 7, they shot a piss-poor 7 for 44 on threes, and Harden was 2 for 13. One of his worst games of the season, and one of the Rockets' worst shooting games of their entire franchise history. So once again, for this MVP curse, you get the best of a player as well as the worst of a player, and you have some heartbreaking losses due to some teammates not stepping up. Now looking ahead to 2019, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, as this year for Giannis was really the year he broke out, averaging 27, 12, and 6 on 57% shooting, and Milwaukee had the best record in the East, winning 60 games, and heading to the playoffs, the East was wide open, and Milwaukee was definitely the favorites. And in the first round, they beat Detroit in 4, and in the second round, they beat Boston in 5. And the Eastern Conference Finals, many forget, they were up 2-0 on the Toronto Raptors. But in the preceding games, Giannis would average 20.5 points per game on 43% shooting from the field and 47% from the line with 4 turnovers. And in Game 3, Giannis only had 12 points with 8 turnovers on 31% shooting, and in Game 7, had 21 points on 38% shooting. So once again, you have an MVP on the biggest stage in the conference finals, blowing a big lead to a team they're probably supposed to beat. And the main problem for Giannis in the series was being great in the clutch, as his clutch time stats were pretty awful. He only averaged 2 points per game on 37% shooting and 25% shooting from the line, with a plus-minus of negative 1.8. So what looked like a promising year for the Bucks turned out to be an absolute nightmare, as they lost 4 games in a row and their MVP faltered under the pressure. Now looking at 2020, Giannis would come back stronger, and he would have an even better MVP year, upping his stats in most categories. And this year, Milwaukee once again had the best record in the East, and Giannis was the MVP as well as the Defensive Player of the Year. But in the second round of the playoffs versus the Miami Heat, Giannis would once again struggle, only averaging 22.7 points per game, 13.3 boards, 7.0 assists on 45, 15, and 54 splits. And in Game 4, he would leave with an injury. And if you look at the clutch time stats for this series, Giannis was somehow actually worse than he was versus Toronto, this time only averaging 1 point per game on 50% shooting, 0% from 3, with a plus-minus of negative 4.3. So once again, a common theme for this curse is high expectations that suddenly get cut out by some unknown factor. Now, the last MVP we have on this list is Nikola Jokic for 2021. And this year, Jokic had an all-time great year for a big man, and he was definitely the rightful MVP for this year, as Denver had the third best record in the West, winning 47 games. But the bad luck for Jokic came early, as his co-star Jamal Murray was out for the year after an injury versus the Golden State Warriors. So unfortunately in the playoffs, Jokic had to carry versus Portland, which he did fairly well, but versus Phoenix, they were just too talented, and Jokic, he couldn't carry his team that far. I mean, you have Michael Porter Jr. not playing well and being injured, the role players are hit or miss, and the point guard matchup is Campazzo versus CP3. That really is a recipe for disaster for any player in the league. And that right there is the summary of 6 straight years of terrible MVP luck that started with Steph Curry in 2016. And I don't know what you want to call this, the MVP curse, the unanimous MVP curse, the Curry curse, whatever you want to call it, it's undeniable. The MVP since 2016 had some pretty bad luck when it comes to the playoffs. And if you look at all 6 of these winners, in 2016, Steph blew a 3-1 lead in the finals. 2017, Westbrook lost in the first round 4-1. 2018, Harden blew a 3-2 lead in the Western Conference Finals to Golden State. 2019, Giannis blew a 2-0 lead to the Raptors. 2020, he was upset 4-1 by the Heat. And this year, Jokic was beat 4-0 by the Phoenix Suns. So out of the last 6 MVP winners, you have 3 times in this list they blew a big lead in this series. The other 3 times, they've either beaten 5 games or 4 games. And since 2016, there's been 0 total finals appearances for any MVP winner. Also, one thing that's pretty interesting is that these players are pretty bad in elimination games. Steph Curry in the 2016 finals was 0-3, Westbrook was 0-1, Harden was 2-2, Giannis was 3-2, and Jokic was 1-1. So only one MVP winner has a positive record in these elimination games. And in total, the last 6 MVPs have a combined 6-9 record in elimination games, which obviously is not impressive for the top tier players. And I do find this trend pretty fascinating, as previously in NBA history, the MVP winners more times than not at least made the finals and sometimes even won the championship. And if you're like me, you love looking for trends in the NBA, and one thing I've noticed is the MVP award since 2016 has had a weird type of vibe around it when it comes to the playoffs. And that right there is the end of the video. I just want to make a quick documentation of the MVP, and now since 2016, it's kind of been cursed and it's been bad luck to actually win the award. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you believe in this curse? Do you think it's real? Is it all by chance? And has Steph Curry since 2016 effectively ruined the MVP and its value? As always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.